Hello and welcome to Amethyst Star Crafting. My name is Jane Ormark and I'm a UK independent Stampin' Up demonstrator. And today we are going to make an Easter card with the sentiment from Well Said, which is I've got it on there, far apart but close at heart, and you mean the world to me. Because obviously the way we are at the moment, we might not be able to see our loved ones during Easter, but at least we can send them a lovely cheery card, and those words are just absolutely beautiful. So that's from the Well Said. And we are going to use Tea Together, and we're going to use the Teapot, which is in the annual catalogue, and the coordinating dies, which are Tea Time framelits. And we are going to use Fable Friends, and we are going to use the lovely little row of ducks. So let's get started on this. First of all, we're going to use the teapot from the Tea Together, which is a lovely big sort of teapot, so you can put lots of things inside it. So let's take a block, and we're going to put this, I might put it that way around actually, so I can get it nice and straight. And then with a good black ink, we're just going to ink this up. And then we can stamp that on a scrap piece or a piece, because we're going to die cut it out. So I'm just literally stamping that in on the centre. And then we have our lovely teapot. Okay, so I'm just going to clean that off with my Simply Chamois. Get that nice and clean, and then that can go back in its case. And then we are going to take from the Fable Friends. Let's put this back in its case so it doesn't get squashed. Okay. So I'm just going to put that back in there. So that's all we're using from the Tea Together, just the teapot. And then from the Fable Friends, we're going to use the little row of ducks, and we're going to use the Easter greetings. So let's get the little row of ducks out, which are really rather sweet. Now, we don't want the ducks to go across the outside of the teapot, so we need to just do a little tiny bit of masking on this. So let me just get out, just need to get a bit of sticky tape, and I'm going to, that's going to come down on here. So what I need to do is to just take, we can just tear it. You can do a mask of it properly, but because it's literally just only this sort of area, we should be able to just put it just round on the side, and this little bit down on this side as well, so it just stops that bit coming across, which we don't want. So just put that up on there. Okay, so now we need to ink up the lovely little ducks, and we're going to put those across on the centre of here, just in there, so that they come right the way across. So you've got the little duck coming through, and then you can take this off, and obviously it then doesn't come down on the bottom. I've got a little tiny bit on there, but that won't actually affect it because we're going to die cut it out. So let's clean that off. And we can pop that back in its case. Okay, then we're going to take the Easter greetings, which is this one, and we can put, you can get a smaller block, but I'm not going to take another one out, so I've just got that so that it's in on there. And again, with the good black ink, we're going to put the Easter greetings just on the top of the teapot in the little space. like that. So you've got Easter greetings on there. And this is one of the nice things about this teapot, is it's such a good size that you can put all sorts of different sentiments in there. And I just thought it would be quite fun for an Easter one. So that's that bit on there. We then need to do some colouring. So let me just put that in on there. So that's going to be all that we need from those two sets. Now, colouring, you can do a variety of things, and I'm going to do a couple of different ways of doing it. So I'm going to use some blends for the duck, and then I'm going to use some watercolouring from the actual teapot. So I want the ducks to be quite sort of bright and cheery, so I'm going to use some bright and cheery sort of blends on there. We need the little ducks' beaks and things to be in. I'm going to use the dark Calypso coral. So let's see if we can get the top off of that. So I'm just going to start and just do the little beak. And as I always say, I do tiny little dots on doing something very small, because then it doesn't come out everywhere. And then we can do their little feet as well in the orange. You can do whatever colours you want, but that works quite well, I think. So again, I'm just doing little dots so that it doesn't bleed everywhere, because it's just a tiny little area. And then we've just got a little bit of a foot coming down out of there. Okay, so that's their beaks, and then I'm going to use the dark, because I want them to be quite bright. So I'm using the dark Daffodil Delight. And that's going to be for the actual body of the duck. And then down, there's a little bit on his neck, a little bit on his wing. And again, you can see I'm just doing little dots on it. And then his little body as well. Now you can put some highlights and things in there, or some darkened shadows and things if you want to, but because they're fairly small images, it's not absolutely essential. So I'm just literally just colouring in, and as I say, I'm just doing little dots because it's such a small area. It means that you don't get the chance of it bleeding. If you do too many strokes, you will find that it will bleed out on the outside. So particularly into these tiny little tail feathers, I'm just doing a little bit of stroking down on there. So I can fill in these little bits. That, and then the little tiny duck on the other piece. Then his little tiny wing there. Okay, so that's in the dark Daffodil Delight. And then it's really down to you what you want to do colour-wise. I'm going to try some dark Granny Apple Green, because that's quite a nice sort of bright colour. And I'm going to do that for the little duck on the edge. And again, it's entirely down to you. Oh, I need that part of his body to be in the yellow. I'll come back and do that in a minute. Am I going to do that in the green as well? No, I'm going to do them all differently. So that's, I just need to make sure that I've got the bottom of his little body there. I just missed that out in the yellow, so that comes at the bottom of it there like that. So she's a little girl, isn't she? So shall we have her in let's have her in a pink, shall we? So I've got a dark pink on here. I'll just see how, oh, that's not going to come out. I have to do it that way. I don't know how much I've got. Oh yes, that's okay. So again, she's going to have a little pink coat. You can choose whatever colours you want. I'm just doing a complete mix of different colours. And I didn't get her neck, and I'm going to do her little hat as well in the same. So I'm just sort of making that a little bit brighter, and then those two little bits. And again, I need to go back with the yellow because I've just forgotten that little bit in on there. But that's the good thing, as you're sort of colouring it, you can see the different bits that need colouring through. And then what are we going to do him in? His hat should really be a sort of a, I don't know, I think I'm going to have him in blue. Let's have him in this sort of, this is dark balmy blue. So let's have a look and see what that one looks like. It's like a little sailor's outfit in on there. My little dog's seen somebody who's obviously doing, I live very near to a park, so I have people going out doing jogging and all sorts of things at the moment. So they go racing past the door, and she'll have a little bark at them. So, and I'm going to do him all in the same colour as well. So just get that little bit across there, little tiny dots, so that it doesn't come out, and then do the outside of his hat like that. And then I'm going to do the pail for the inside of his hat, because you do need to have just a little bit of definition between the two. So as I say, choose whatever colours you want, but that just adds a little bit of definition in there. Okay, so I've done that with the blends, but now I'm going to use my aqua painter, and I want the smaller brush, and I'm going to colour the teapot in. I want it to be sort of a do I want it as a pale blue? Yeah, I think I'm going to have it as a very pale blue teapot, almost like that sort of china blue. So I'm just going to take out some Pool Party for this one, because I think that that will look quite nice. So I'm going to take a block and just make myself a palette with the colour, and I want it to be fairly pale. So then I'm just going to make sure that we've got some colour coming through on here, which we have, which is good. Get myself a little bit of kitchen roll to just dab off, and then we're going to take the colour and very sort of lightly go over, because I don't want this to be too defined. So Pool Party is quite a nice colour to work with, and you can just literally just sort of wash it over. And I'm doing the whole lot in the one colour to start off with, and then I'll just add a little bit of highlights in afterwards. As I've always said, you don't have to be an expert in colouring if you're doing washes, because the nature of doing a wash is that it is fairly sort of just sort of loose round on here, so it doesn't matter hugely where your sort of lines and things are coming. You just sort of wash round it quite carefully, and then we can come down on here, but it means that we can go over the words quite well, and it's not going to bleed through at all. Yes, you can do it with the blends if you want to, but I find that this is quite a nice way of just doing them both together. So let's come down through on here, because you can actually go over your image on here quite nicely. So I'm just getting some colour going through. I think that was a little bit darker on there, but never mind. So let's bring that through, and as I say, because you've got the blends coming underneath, it means that you can literally just go over the top and quite carefully just sort of bring it down. So that's on there. Then we can do this bit. Stampin on the bottom. And then I'll turn it round and we can do the teapot handle or spout. Bring that down like that. Bring that in. Okay, so we've got sort of a pale blue, bit of a wash. As I say, that needs to be just sort of blended in a bit more, but that'll work. So I'm now going to take a little bit of smoky slate, which will just give me some of the darker highlights that we want in here. So let me just get a little bit on here. Smoky slate's quite a nice sort of softer colour, and then again just with a little bit of water, what I want to do is to just add the little bits of dark coming through on here. You can blend that up through. Got a little bit down on here. That gives you your dark on here. Then in on here we're just going to do the dark round on the inside of the handle, because that'll give you where your dark going to come. And as I say, I'm doing it quicker than you would do it. You know, spend some time. Watercolouring like this can take you, you know, an hour or so, and then we'll just have a little bit of dark down through on there, but that's sort of starting to give it. And then down on this side we're just going to have some shadow coming down on this side of the teapot. And then down on this part on here, and again with your water you can just blend it out a little bit, and then down on here, so I'll have that coming in on that side. We can have a little bit just down on the bottom of there. So that gives that a little bit darker, and then just on this piece of the teapot in on here, we'll have this bit, a little bit on there on the spout. And then just a little bit down through on here. Okay, so that's got that a little bit better on there. And then I would do another sort of wash over the top just to bring all of that in together with the pool party. So let's take some of that pool party in again, clean that brush off, because we've got some sort of bits that are a little bit more blobby. Get a little bit more water this time, because I just want to blend everything through. And then we can take this up so that's a bit more of a blend, and then we can just take this through so that we're blending it all through nicely. So you've got your lights and your darks. It's a bit like using when you use your blends. You know, you can take all of it in so that you get just a little bit more of a, you know, subtle wash coming through. And then I'm just going to do that up on here. Now you can do it with watercolour paper if you want to. I've just done this with thick Whisper White because that allows a little bit of water to come in on there. And then I'm just going to blend that bit through with a little bit of water so it comes through a little bit more sort of subtle. Okay, that'll do, that'll do. Not the greatest, but it gives you an idea. And then we need to take the tea time framelits. If you haven't got that, you can cut it out with some scissors, but the tea time framelits go beautifully with this. So we're just going to put that in over the top, and then we can cut that out. So I'm just going to get that where it is, run across to my die cutting machine, which is on the other side. I don't have it actually on there. I can still talk to you, but I need to just line it up so that it goes through nicely. And then we can die cut that out. There we go. So that's just die cut through. So you then have a nice little teapot with the Easter greetings and things on there. Let's take that little piece out, which is rather nice. And then we can put these bits away. We can then choose what we're going to put it on for the background. So we can put it on to, let's have a look. We could put it on to a white. I've got one that I've done earlier on. That'll give you another idea. So we could put it straight onto white, just in the centre like that. And then we've got our greetings in there, which is, I've stamped them out because I really love these. So you've got Happy Easter, but you've got far apart, close at heart. And then on this one, I did this one the other day, but basically all you do is you're going to cut just fairly close with a pair of scissors. And then turn it around as you go around the corner, because then it gives a softer finish if you just bend on the corners. So you have a little curve on the corners, and then just go back down on the other side. Oops. And then again round on that little corner, just sort of curve it round a bit because that makes it look a little prettier. And then so I've got You Mean the World to Me, Far Apart, Close at Heart. And then you could put that one on whatever background you really want. I've got put it on a nice pool party background on there. So you could do it in yellows, but that I think looks quite pretty like that. If you wanted to take it on to the pool party directly, this is one that I did earlier on, and I did the whole of this one with the blends. So, and I made the duck slightly paler. So I just cut out the largest of the circles in the stitch shapes to put that on there. This one will go on with dimensionals, You Mean the World to Me, Far Apart but Close at Heart. So a fun little idea to just do a teapot with Easter greetings, and although we might not be able to see our loved ones over Easter, if we send a card with a little gift or something in it, it does say that they're far apart but they're close at heart. And of course, family always means the world to us. So thank you so much for watching me. Do look forward to seeing you again. Bye bye.